Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Debra Eckerling, creator of the Deb Method for Goal Setting Simplified. I am a goal strategist, book proposal specialist, author of books on goals, your goal guide, and 52 secrets for goal setting and goal getting. You can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. So every week I bring together some of my people for the topic. And today we're talking about intuition. And I love how this conversation came about. And I'm going to go into it a little bit backwards. So with me today, I've got intuitive artist Heather Eck. I've got spiritualist, really, Shawn Phelps and Sheryne Willson. And I actually met, so Heather is in 52 Secrets. And I had met Shawn on a Zoom earlier in the same day that I met Sheryne, who did even though she doesn't live in LA, she was doing a cacao sound bath. So I met both of them the same day and I came out of it. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to get them on a show together. And then I'm like, okay, let's bring in our color healer, Heather. So I am certain, don't prove me wrong, that this is going to be a fun and inspiring conversation. It's the beginning of the year, so we're all in new year, new you mode. But with so much out of our control, I feel like there is a spiritual element that we can tap into that will help make all of the things better. You might be watching us as GoalChat Live. You might be watching the replay or listening to us as the GoalChat podcast on the Marketing Podcast Network. But no matter how you found us, we're so glad you're here and taking the time for you and really thinking like, okay, how can I better listen to the aura around me to achieve my goals or all the other things in the new year? So as I said before, we've got a Heather Eck and Shawn Phelps and Sheryne Willson. And the only thing you all know is that they're awesome and they're good for this topic. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves a little bit better. And let us start with you, Heather.
Thank you so much for having me back, Deb. I love you so much, and I'm so happy to be here with you. My name's Heather Eck, and I'm based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm an intuitive artist and a painter, and I help people improve their lives through art and color by helping them learn to reconnect with their own intuition through therapeutic art and workshops and all kinds of fun stuff. And I also host a podcast called Your Radiant Spirit, where you can learn more about color energy, and healing.
And I have been like beyond fascinated with what a Heather does since we met, because it's like, ooh, you mean color can actually change your life? And then we met around the time where I was finishing up the manuscript for 52 Secrets. And I'm like, we have to. We just have to. So I love the fact that there are simple things around you that you could do to make your life better. And there's nothing more simple and or more consistently around you than color. So right. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Shawn, welcome.
Hello. Well, I'm Shawn Phelps. I am the founder of the Third Person Method and just wrote a book about it. And that's the method that I've used for the last 12 years to help over 300 leaders and entrepreneurs to get out of their own way and connect with their higher self-intelligence, otherwise known as intuition. So, I live in Toronto. Actually, I live in Niagara Falls area, which is a couple of hours from Toronto, but not everyone knows where that is, in Canada. And I'm just thrilled to be here with you gals.
And I just realized, so we've got actually two Canadians here. So Sheryne, and like I said, Sheryne is from Canada, but she was in LA for an event, and she actually filled in and it's such a great story. So I am involved with the LA County Bar Association Lawyer Wellbeing Project, and we had this event planned. And then, like a couple weeks before, our sound bath cacao person filled in through the universe. Rebecca Green, who introduced us, was able to bring you in to do this fantastic event. But why don't you introduce yourself? Because I could do this all day. Welcome.
I think that actually leads right into intuition, but I'll introduce myself and I. My name is Sheryne, and I'm a therapist, neurolinguistic program, high leadership coach, wellness for over 20 years. I also modalities that bring in intuition, sound healing, cacao ceremonies, all the therapies that really help us connect back to ourselves, which help us understand what we're doing here in life and bring us into that place of purpose and understanding. So I also do astrology too, so we'll throw that in there.
Because why wouldn't we, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
right. So
Do you want to tell a story?
What were you going to tell?
Do you want me to tell the story of how I got down?
Oh yes, yes,
and
please.
It leads right into intuition. So in the spring, I was changing websites, and I hired somebody that was a low-key shady to do some website CEO stuff for me. And he was like, okay. And I told him my demographic, and I told him, my geographic area. And I said, West Coast. And he's like, okay, sure. At the time I was doing therapy, but I also was doing some sound bowls that. And so that was back in May. And my gut was like, you know what, let's just see what happens. Okay, even though he's a little shady, I feel like I need to do this. And anyways, he did for all of the West Coast down into LA. Fast forward 4 months later, I get an anonymous phone call on my phone who is like, hey, I found you online in LA, top 10 sound bowl practice. Wondering if you're available this next weekend. And I was just like, I haven't done a year. So I was like, what? And she was like, oh, I'm a lawyer, LA County, downtown. I'm like, I thought it was a scam. But everything in my gut was like, you need to call this woman back. And I'm like, none of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. And so I was like, you know what, I'll wait. It was a Sunday. And I was like, you know what, no, I need to call right now, and I need to leave a voicemail. And I left a voice. She's like, I'm so glad you called on Sunday, because usually by Monday my voice box is so full that I would have probably missed it. And she was calling around to so many people that a lot of people were just getting back to her on Monday. Anyways, so funny. She's like, hey, so yeah, are you available? And I was like, yeah, how did you find me? She's like, oh, online. You're a top 10 practitioner in LA. I was like, I don't even live in LA. What are you talking about? She's like, oh yeah, your website came up, and yeah, you're apparently a local practitioner here. I said, no, I'm actually in Canada. And she said, oh, okay, well, she was so kind. She's like, I'm so sorry to bother you. I'm just gonna have a good day. And I said, wait a second, tell me more about this. And she's like, oh, are you actually interested? I said, yeah, I've been known to travel. And said, tell me more. And it just worked out. It was so aligned, and it was so bizarre. One of those things where I'm like, none of this makes sense. Even does this make sense for my business? But it was just like, I just felt the intuition of this gut feeling, this beyond logic, and this call, this pull to do this. Even if I was like, even if nothing comes of this, I do feel like I'm meant to do this. And it was so wonderful, because I've met so many people, including Deb, from that experience, because Deb was at that sound bowl. And then she introduced me to some of her mentors and her friends. And I ended up talking to people on the beach, and I ended up doing a consult for somebody down there. It just was one of those things where it defied logic. And so that's how I met Deb, through intuition.
That is awesome. And I feel like before we even dive into what it is, I would love to see if Shawn and or Heather has a good, good luck having an example as good as that, but I'm sure you've got some good stuff. Shawn, is there a good intuition story that comes to mind?
Well, the thing is, for me, like, I feel like my whole life is guided by that. I don't have like I can definitely give you hundreds of stories. um, well, I guess one of my favorite stories, like how I came to I went through this one period where I was um, I was struggling with my health. I was struggling with a pretty serious problem with my I tore the meniscus in my knee. And what that meant, it was serious because I couldn't walk at all. And so it meant I couldn't go anywhere. And I didn't have anyone to care for me at the time, because at the time I was estranged from my family, from my parents. And and so there were all these things happening that were really hard. And I just remember it was a very dark time, right? But I just kept doing my practice, because I do the third person method is my practice. So every day I would just sit and I would help my human feel safe and loved and enough, because that helps your human calm down, which allows you to hear your intuition, right? So every day I would just help my human feel safe and loved and enough, and go into that sort of space of openness that would happen when I would do that, that kind of peace. And then I would ask for help, and then I would receive help. And I got this message out of the blue: don't worry, everything's going to be fine. There's going to be all this magical thing. So I ended up getting these crutches. I ended up being able to get around a bit. And at that point, I hadn't been working that much, because I'd sort of come right out of work for a couple of months. And I got this text right out of the blue that was like, "Hey, you want to co-work today at this thing?" I was like, "Great." So I went there. And it was like this whole magic carpet ride of a day. It was like we co-worked, and that was my first time ever co-working with this person, and it was amazing. And then she's like, "Hey, would you like to go on a boat with me tonight?" I'm like, "Okay, why not?" So it was in Toronto, so we went on this sailboat, and then I ended up meeting all these people, and a couple of them were kind of like heroes of mine in the leadership world and entrepreneurship world, and one of them ran a major conference that I'd been to. And I was just like, wow, this is like a dream sequence happening right now. So I was telling them, I was like, "This is amazing that you guys are here." And to make this very long story short, I ended up working with like half of the people on that boat as my clients over the following months. And it just created this whole new opening of experiences that actually never would have happened if I hadn't first gone through that dark place with my knee and the emotions. Because it wasn't the knee was the thing that brought on the emotions and the darkness, if you know what I mean. Because that feeling like, oh, I can't walk, I can't, you know what I mean. And so that brought me into a place of doing that deeper inner work to help my human. So like everything that I talk about around intuition is different maybe in a way than some people do, because for me, we are intuition. That's always there. We don't need to pursue it. It's there. We're just not hearing it because our human is blocking it in some way with fear, anger, sadness, whatever, beliefs. So my whole thing is all you need to do is help your human feel peaceful, feel calm, feel safe, feel relaxed. And then that's why sometimes you just get in the shower and boom, there's the ideas, because you're feeling that calm. So that's my story, but that's also how I think about intuition.
Awesome. And before we get to Heather's story, we do have Chris Pomey, who is from Ontario, who knows Toronto and Niagara Falls well, is watching us live. So thank you. He does a show on a radio station in Niagara, and I was on one of his shows last year. So Chris, thank you for tuning in. We also have Meryl Cass, who is live from New Jersey watching us. So thank you both, and whoever else is tuning in live or the replay or listening. It's such an important topic, because if you're not at one with who you are and what you love, how the heck do you move forward? But I'm getting ahead of myself. So what else is new? Heather, example? I know you've got tons, but which is the first one?
Oh my gosh. Well, I so relate to Shawn, what you said about all you have to do, because I think that's one of the things that I love about the work that I help people with, is just holding space for them to be able to step into that peaceful place. And we do it through art and color. And so anytime that somebody gives themselves space to just relax the mind, and just journaling or art making of any kind slows, it drops your cortisol, it relaxes your nervous system. And then you start to hear all these things that have just been sitting right below the surface. And My favorite example is doing what I've called a spirit portrait for somebody, where I read their energy and show them where they're feeling blocked or stuck, and found that somebody was feeling stuck in their throat, and encouraged them to share their story. And lo and behold, she had this idea for a book about her life that she wanted to write, and she was going to wait until she was in her 60s and retired to write it. And I said, well, let's not do that. What would happen if you started to write it now? And then, a few months after that, she messaged me on Instagram and said that she had published this book, and it had restored her relationship with her parents, and she'd found so much peace, and she'd gotten to this much better place. And so it was just this, all she had to do, all she had to do was to tell this story that would alleviate this tension, this pressure, and this pain that she was holding. And so I think that's just the power of being able to slow down and let your inner voice speak to you, or be moved by the spirit, or whatever it is. It gets you to a much more peaceful place, for sure.
I feel like we all know what we're talking about, but I would love to, I would hope so. I would love to hear each of your definitions of intuition. Do you want to start, Heather?
Mm-hmm. I always think of intuition as your inner knowing. It's like your inner compass. I've been using this compass analogy a lot over the last couple of months, where I think one of the things that I like to play with a lot in my artwork are these questions that we all sort of sit with every day, which is, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? What's my purpose? Where do I go? And I think for a lot of us, we know the answers. We have this inner knowing. It's within, and we lose sight of it because so much of the stuff gets piled up, and it's a cumulative stress event, and where it's all this kinds of noise and noise and noise and noise. And so I think that your intuition is being able to sort of start to shutter some of that out and just go, okay, how do I feel again? How do I sort of allow myself to be led, to stop pushing, stop trying, stop trying to force something, and just allow yourself to be guided. And also sort of my spiritual teacher says, stop making decisions. All the answers are already within you. Stop making decisions. It's going to come to you when you surrender sort of to that voice.
I love that. And in particular, your goal guide, it's a road trip. So I use compass analogy a lot. And I was saying this before we went live, I'm one of the most logical people I know who believes the spiritual stuff, because it's not one or the other. They really work together. Mm-hmm. And my belief is, when you know who you are, your mission, then you draw the things toward you that you need to achieve those goals. So very much in alignment with what you're saying there. Sheryne, what is your definition of intuition?
I can relate a lot to what's been said already. And I always think of intuition a little bit of your higher self coming in to guide you. So I think of a higher guidance, but also that's already been, I like the word you used, compass, that's already been placed in you. And it's really just about tapping that. And for me, instead of looking inside of the compass, I always think, okay, what is my higher self trying to tell me that goes into here, right? So it's like this divine connection. So I'm skipping the decisions and I'm going straight to, where do I need to go? What's the guidance? And for me, I don't know if any of you have read, I know you've written your books, but have you read Brianna Weiss, her book, The Mountain Is You? Mm-hmm. She did a whole chapter on intuition versus instinct. And I think she does a beautiful job explaining the difference. And ever since I heard her speak on it, it really helped me define what intuition is for me. And that, instinct keeps us a lot in the past, and it is usually based on ego and self-preservation. And intuition is about presence. And it's something that we can recall over and over again, because it's a compass. And she talks about how it is a soft guiding. It's a soft, it doesn't scream at you. It's just a soft knowing. And I really like that. So if I'm frazzled in the day, or, should I take this meeting? Should I do that? I'll stop. And I'm like, okay, is this in alignment? Is this something I want to do? And I just wait for that soft guidance to come and be like, yeah, I think I do. And then it's like, okay, instead of like, yeah, but I'm tired, but I need to, oh, but you got to. It's like, it's always this soft voice that comes in that and like I said, that I connect with letting in. So that's my definition.
Love that. Okay, Shawn, your turn.
My turn. Well, they're all good. They're all true. It's kind of like an elephant. There's lots of different ways of looking at the same thing. I often say to my clients that that intuition is just a fancy word for self-trust, because it's who we are. We are our intuition. We are our higher self. We are a spirit and human body. So we are a soul having human experience. So therefore, we are our intuition. We are that, but parts of us are getting in the way. Parts of us are in our mind, essentially, the parts of our human are sort of blocking us from that guidance, from that self-trust, that deep self-trust. And so for me, all of connecting with your intuition is helping your human or your mind, however you want to look at it, because people look at it different ways, your human self or your mind, to become more still, to become more calm. And there's lots of ways. Art is a great way to do that. Meditation, or like my process is actually talking to and soothing and giving empathy to your human, which achieves the same goal. It helps your human go, ah. And as soon as your human goes, ah, your higher self starts talking to you, your intuition, right? Because as the higher self is another word for intuition. So it will start talking to you and giving you guidance on whatever you need. So for me, my practice every single morning is help my human feel safe and calm using my third person method, which is you actually are acting in the third person as a caretaker of your human. That's why it's called the third person method. And so I'm not Shawn, I'm the caretaker of Shawn. I don't identify with Shawn. Shawn is my human that I'm taking care of for this lifetime, and I am her caretaker. And over here on this side is the higher self that I turn to as the caretaker and ask for guidance for Shawn. Sounds a bit wild, but it works. So I turn to Shawn and I turn to the higher self, and then I will get that guidance, and it will always, as you said, Sheryne, it will come in like one sentence. If it's more than 3 to 5 words, it's probably not your higher self, because it's usually just go here, call this person, get up. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's usually very, very short and to the point when it is your intuition. So that's how I see it.
And you jumped the gun a little bit on my next question, so I am going to let you answer it first. And I do like the idea of if it's longer than a few words, then it isn't. Because that's the D in Deb method is determine your mission, and from there you come up with the motto. So that's what I say is the compass. You know, when you know who you are, you've got the short phrase that represents all of your decisions. It's basically in listening to you all, I'm gonna edit myself, but it's basically giving just a theme to your intuition. You know, it's really I don't want to use personify because that's the wrong word, but it's making it concrete. You know, what are the things? So my motto for the Deb method is goal setting simplified. My motto for the book proposal experts is book proposal simplified. So for me, it's if there's information I'm putting out in the world, it needs to be simple so people can embrace it and do it. So I don't know if that's my inner self or just the way that I've always done things, but feeling like being able to put to words the core of who you are. That, and I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's intuition or just like your through line, but when you know who you are, I think you're better able to tap in. Anyway, I'm reining myself in, and I'd love for you to go a little bit deeper into the best way for people to tap into their intuition, and then we will come around to the others. So, Shawn?
Okay, so what I'm going to add to what you just said, which I think is awesome, is because I don't think there's a huge separation between our human and our higher self. I think that our human is a gift to us for this lifetime that reflects what our higher self came here to do. So what your human really wants and wants to express is reflected from your higher self. You know, they work in tandem. They aren't separate. You know what I mean? We don't want to get rid of our human, because then we like won't have a personality or like get to have any adventures. We'll just be a floaty blob of energy. It'd be really boring. So I don't think they're separate, first of all. So how can you tap into your intuition? So the most simple way when you're just getting started is to understand that it's, first of all, understand that it's always there and you are hearing it. Your intuition has been talking to you all your life. So it's not, don't turn it into this big, scary, hard thing that you need to figure out how to do. Just go, oh, right, I've been doing it all along. It's just that sometimes we hear it and sometimes we don't. So how do we tap into it better is to be intentional. We want to be intentional because, as Wayne Dyer told us, intention is the thing that drives our life. So we want to be intentional. We want to sit down with the intention to tap into our intuition on a particular topic. So we are consciously going to put forward the topic to our higher self and be like, hey, you know, we have a problem with ourselves. Like, should I go to this country or that country? That was a problem I needed to solve recently. I was going to go to Mexico, or I was going to go to Malaysia. It was Malaysia, but that's what my intuition told me. So what I did was I go in, and it is tied to, there's a whole story around that, but I won't get into it. But I was in there and I'm like, okay, my intention is to decide which is going to be better for my path to really connect with myself and create at my highest level in 2026 for leaders and entrepreneurs. So where should I go? And so then what you want to do is listen inside your body from your neck down. And if you actually visualize that, if you actually visualize listening to your body from your neck down, you're going to get some kind of an energetic answer. You may not get a word or a country, but you may be able to sort of, at first, it's best to ask maybe yes and no questions, you know, when you're really starting, if you're really new to it. You start yes and no questions because you'll always feel it from your neck down. A yes is expansion and a no is contraction. And your immediate response will be the right one every time, right? Your first one. As you get better at that, you know, you can slowly move toward actually listening. So one of my practices that I really teach my clients over a period of time is listening into this space inside ourselves. So after we help our human feel safe by talking kindly to our human, it's as simple as that. By, hey, everything's okay. You're going to be fine. We're going to work this out. We're going to make it. Now I've got some peace in that space. I'm going to listen for the answer. And I'm going to wait for it to bubble up. I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to reach for it. I'm going to let it bubble up inside me. That takes practice. I'm sure you guys all know how to do that, but it takes practice. And so your average person isn't instantly going to be able to master that, but it's not that hard to do over time with practice. My clients get it within 6 weeks where they can do it pretty consistently. So, because we all have it, like we don't need that go between, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's so one of the techniques that I do with my clients or with anybody who's stuck is directed journaling. And it is essentially free writing your answer to a question or a very focused series of questions. This is basically the written version of what you just said.
Yes. I'm a huge fan of free writing too.
Which I love. And the other thing that I like is the whole expansion and retraction frame, because we all know that when we're doing things that are not authentic, we're hesitant and sometimes we just plow through them anyway. But when we're doing the things that we love, we're working and it's hours later and where has the time gone? So I think that is also super indicative of just putting just concrete steps to intuition. When you're doing the things that flow naturally, it's letting your intuition have a play date, basically. Okay, Heather, you're nodding a lot. So Sheryne, but we're going to go to Heather next. What do you recommend for tapping into intuition?
I love everything that you said, Shawn. I was thinking so much about the similarities in how I work with clients as well, which is teaching them how to learn to read and understand what their body's communicating through sensation, through color, through texture. So I think, you know, I will add to that, like therapeutic art or just art making is a fabulous way to help somebody tap into their intuition, because a lot of times whatever we're holding on to that's either blocking us or keeping us in a place where we can't hear our intuition is just beneath the surface. And so being able to, if I'll guide someone through a meditation and then say, okay, let's visualize what's standing in the way. Let's draw that. What does that look like? What colors are you drawn to? Why did you choose that color? What texture does it have? What would happen if you were to visualize it differently? And so we kind of guide them through a series of prompts that help them go, oh my gosh. I have this one example recently where a woman said, I have no idea what you did, but I painted a picture of a boulder and now I'm not mad at my ex-husband anymore. And it was one of those wild things where you're like, all right, we did it. But again, like all she really needed to do was to tune into that emotion or that energy that was sitting right there. And she just felt it. She didn't really know how to put it into words, but once she was able to connect it through the art making and through the colors that came up and what I saw around her, then she went, oh, this is what this is really about. And now I can, move through this and start to move it out of my way. So I think that's just a really fun example of where you sort of already know, but you're kind of gently asking to receive the answers to it too. I loved all of them. I'm taking notes over here. I don't know if you see me writing, but I like capturing lots of notes.
Well, and I am a firm believer, and this has been said already, we have the answers, but we don't always know the questions, or we do know the questions and we don't stop to honor the answers, I guess would be the other way to look at it. So Sheryne, what is your recommendation for tapping into intuition?
Yeah. Having been a therapist for 10 years, I think, and working, there's twofolds, because I also believe that astrology is a good tool to your intuition in just remembering your compass and remembering who you are, and then going, okay, yeah, that resonates, or that reaffirms what I was thinking. But a lot of times I think similar to what Shawn was saying, what stops us is the judgment of the other person, the judgment of our human being, or the programming. I see that a lot. So if we can take time a lot of this can be our own judgment. And if we allow ourselves this, and just say, okay, but what do I want? What is the higher saying? And coming in, and especially keep it being shoulds, need to, have to. When you use those phrases, you're disconnecting you from your intuition. And so coming away from that language into what do I want? What's my, and using those phrases, what brings me joy? Like same with the expansion and contraction. What's a yes for me? Like when with my clients or even myself, because I try to practice what I preach. But when I'm having those days where it's like, do I really want to do this? And I'll stop and be like, okay, out of all the tasks that I have to do today, it's going to bring me, it is the least tolerable, or bring me the most joy. And I'll go through that, and they'll automatically be a pull of, that doesn't just, even that is using the muscle of our intuition, get us into a place of more connection with ourselves. Because we're more connected with ourselves, life is easy, and things begin to flow, and we have that divine power, and we're living out our purpose. And so I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but if the judgment phrases that we're using and turn down that knob, I'll teach my clients, if your self-criticism coming in, that's distracting you from your intuition. And I say visually turning that knob down of judgment, criticism, should, could, would, and just be like, turn that down and be like, what do I desire? Instead of should, could, would, what do I desire? What's going to make me feel 1% better? What's going to make me feel 10% better? And tuning in, and that's even just, regulation and connecting with yourself. But I really think at the core, that is our intuition, and that is our soul trying to realign us on the path that we're supposed to be on instead of being pulled in all these directions. So I hope that made sense.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to use my intuition to say that Shawn and Sheryne can expect invitations to be on Heather Eck's podcast. She is nodding for those of you who are listening to this. I also want to say a hi to Leanne from Duluth, Minnesota, and Kimberly from Chicago, who are also watching us live. And also Meryl said, Shawn, thanks for acknowledging Dr. Wayne Dyer, as I'm a big fan of all his work and his teaching. So as I said before, if you're watching live, say hello. If you're watching the replay, you can still say hello in the comments and give your take on how you use and adore intuition. Or if you're listening to us, we are glad you're here. We're using the word intuition, but it's really about being in touch with who you are and the impact you want to make in the world, and letting your inner human out, or letting your inner voice say the things, and using color to amplify your actions. And I want to give each of you just a couple minutes to share how the modality that you go through, where it goes with intuition. And I'm really curious about astrology and intuition. I know a little. I know the fact that I am so Leo, and a couple other little bits and pieces. But Sheryne, what is it? How does astrology and intuition line up?
I think you said earlier, a lot of us are, say, asking the questions, right? People are asking the questions, but then they're looking for the answers at the same time, outwardly. And astrology actually helps answers a lot of those questions by bringing by reaffirming what you're feeling. I had a client come to me, and she's been on a dating journey. She was talking about, this is very specific, but she was in a new relationship with this individual, and she was like, there's just something that doesn't feel off, even though he's ticking all of this, like all of the things, and well, he's great. Not feeling up with the background in psychology, we could go into, okay, is that your inner child? Is that trauma? Like, the approach of like, okay, what do you feel like there's something there that's missing? And she's like, I can't put my face. And so I actually did a synastry chart for her and this individual, and I pulled out this very specific aspect that was in their charts. I read it to her, and she goes, that's it. That's exactly it. And it was about communication and how she fervently felt dismissed every time she would communicate. Even though he had never shown energetic feeling. And I just said, that doesn't mean you can be with this individual. It's just intuition. And instead of sabotaging forward, or stories, or us going down and affecting this, we were able to go about that, because it's reaffirming you that there's something. But now what? And she's like, I think this is a lesson really voicing my needs. And sure enough, it went into her like, oh yeah, and this lesson about needs, and I was able to pinpoint in her self-evaluation and self-value, and so I find astrology really helps you already know, and it's kind of that that validation that you're. It's like, oh yeah, and it's so specific too. Where okay, well, all Leos are out, right? Like, no, when you the nuances and the specifics together of astrology, you can help people really help anchor into feeling by getting that validation that you don't always, because it's an energetic experience, right? Intuition is an energetic experience. So
okay, so you can use it as an anchor into energy. Yeah, I know there's because my mom was big fan of astrology. Like I said, I know just enough, but I know that it's not just the sun sign. There are all the different aspects work together to tell you who you are. So very interesting take on that. And so, Shawn, you were talking about your methodology. Is that what you most align with in helping people use their intuition to move forward?
Yeah, 100%. That's what I've used for 12 years to help over 300 leaders. So, and it's what I used to free myself, because I came from a very, very chronic, violently abusive childhood, and had a lot of stuff I had to free myself from. And so I did all the things, I did the 7-month trip to Asia alone. I stayed with monks and nuns. I did the walking on coals with Tony Robbins. I did all the things, and I was still suffering. I was still struggling, and I couldn't figure it out. And then, one day I was in this 10-day meditation retreat, and it came to me. That's a whole story, but I had basically a spiritual experience where I felt pure love, and I was just, all the pain was just gone, and I was just this pure love, and I was just walking, and I just felt these waves of love toward everyone, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. But then it went back to normal, and then I was like, shit, now what? And so then I got this voice in my head that said, in my ear, that said, you see, you're not Shawn. You have to help Shawn. And that became the beginning of my healing. That became it still took years. As you know how integrations go. You get the breakthrough. It still takes like years to integrate the thing. But that was the beginning of real change. And so over the years, that became the third person method, which is basically a method where it's pretty radical, to be honest, not for everyone. But you no longer identify with your human self. You identify as the caretaker of your human. So in public, I still talk as Shawn. I'm still I. But in my own head, in my own body, I am the caretaker. I'm not Shawn. And that gives me the higher perspective to help Shawn in the game of life, because I see life as kind of like a video game where we're spirit and human body playing this game. And, the best of the world is here and the worst of the world is here. It's all here. You can experience everything in the game, right? And so we need a way, because if we're playing the game in the first person, we're going to get the shit kicked out of us. When you're playing a game in the first person and people are shooting and punching at you, you're going to get overwhelmed. But if you can have that higher perspective of stepping outside of your human and helping your human in the game, like you're the person on the couch with the video controller, you can help your human and you can relax more. You can enjoy more. You don't have to freak out when people are shooting at your human and bad things. I mean literally. I just mean when bad things are happening to your human. You're able to stay a little more calm. You're able to help your human. So that's what I do with leaders, that helps them lead and create at much higher levels, because it creates a sense of instant higher perspective, no matter what situation you're facing. And incidentally, immediately connects you into your intuition, immediately. Because as soon as you step outside of your human and you're holding space around your human and you're thinking, oh, how can I help my human? Your higher self, your intuition is right there. I call it HI. Which is instead of AI, use your HI instead of AI. And HI is your higher self intelligence, which is way more powerful than AI. Because AI can only tap into everything that we've taught it. But your HI can tap into everything beyond that, right? Mm-hmm. At any time, you can get answers to anything. And that's all of us. We all have that capacity to do that. So my method, which is this. The third person method, which the tag is a daily practice to lead, create, and live from your higher self intelligence. And so it is just a simple tool. It's actually a very simple tool. It's not easy to do because everything that's simple is hard, right?
Right.
But it's very simple, and that the whole idea is you live your life in the third person. You step outside of your human, but not from a disassociated way, because that would make you a psychopath. From a place where you give absolute, radical, unconditional love to your human all day, every day, and you are in your human's corner above anybody else, which also seems a bit radical for a lot of people because they think that would make them selfish, but actually the opposite happens. You become selfless. Because when your human is getting all the love he or she or they need all the time, all they want to do is give. Like a little 2-year-old, just want to go around and give out crackers and help everybody. We just want to, at our core, our human wants to help people. It's only when our human doesn't get the love and support and encouragement. The greatest leaders that I have studied are leaders who receive that love and encouragement built in during their childhood. It was just built in. this mix of love and encouragement and absolute radical support of who they are, not who they want them to be, who they are, right? Like someone like Richard Branson is a great example, because he's built his empire, but he's having the best time of his life. And why is he in that energy? Because if you study his childhood, his parents both gave him that mix of absolute faith in himself, radical faith in himself and his own abilities as he is, even though his teachers said he was an idiot because he had dyslexia, and his teachers were like, you're never going to make it. But his parents were there going, don't listen to them. Believe in yourself. Right? So we need to, where this is all going is we need to install that in ourselves, and then we can lead and create at that level. When we install that same voice inside of us that's so loving and kind to our human all day, every day, we are unstoppable, literally.
When you don't have the software automatically installed, I was fortunate, I was raised by an artist who was all about, I referred to her as the cheerleader. I am me because she was her. But when you've got that, it's almost like you've got the best secret in the world, that you can do anything because you've got that kind of capacity. So, and just real quick, and then we're going to get to Heather. So Sherilyn, who's watching from Minnesota, so basically you act as a self-coach for yourself. I always say, I wish I treated myself as well as my kitties, meaning as well as I treat my kitties. It's a sound theory, but it sounds difficult. So I feel like, and this is something I said before, I'm goal setting simplified. I'm book proposal simplified. I'm all about making the instructions easy. You still have to do the work, right?
Yeah. And the instructions are easy. They're in my book, which is, only $5 on Amazon, but the instructions are easy. The instructions are easy, right? It's just that the idea of it seems hard because we don't know what empathy looks like, right? But the truth is that person who just wrote in, she does know what empathy looks like because she gives it to her kids. So all she has to do is give that exact same empathy to her own little inner human, because our human is formed from age 0 to 7. So there's no adult in us. We imagine we have an adult in us. That's just an adult imprint, which is a recording of all the adults we grew up with. But there's no actual adult in us. That's why life looks like a sandbox with a bunch of kids throwing sand at each other. There's no adults on earth. You know what I mean? A bunch of children.
So it's do unto yourself so you could do better unto others. Heather, how does the whole color thing, how can people use color to really lean in to their intuition? How does that support?
So one of my favorite things, this is going to tie into the goal that I gift everybody. I think I do this in every conversation, which is just to look at what color are you drawn to each day when you get dressed in the morning? Or do you have the most stuff in your closet? I have my closet organized by the rainbow, of course. So, the color I have the most of is green. And so I'm almost always ministering to my heart, to the physical heart, to the spiritual heart, for self-love, infinite love, compassion, and acceptance. And so color is a very gentle way. It's a language that we can all learn to speak, and we can learn to use color to understand what's going on for us. So if you find yourself wearing a particular color all the time, you can look up what that color means, or I have a free color healing kit. You can look it up in the kit and find out what color does it associate with in the energy centers in our bodies, and what is it communicating to you about your physical, emotional, or spiritual experience. And then you can learn to work with color so that you feel better, or feel inspired, or feel motivated, whatever it is that you're looking for. Color sort of acts as a very gentle catalyst to help you get there.
Okay, so for example, because of course I will use me, blue is my power color. You look at any of my websites except for, 52 Secrets, because it's read like the book, but just about everywhere, blue is my power color. I love the color blue. Orange, for those who are only listening and not watching, Heather's wearing like a paler apricot, and Shawn is wearing, stark, really orange. Orange has always been like my fun color, and blue is my practical color. So what does that say about me?
Oh, well, it's funny that you put the adjective with it. Blue is your practical color. Interesting, because blue is a color that conveys trust, and assurance. It's a color that supports the throat and the third eye. So where you're getting into being able to communicate and speak authentically and trust your own intuition. You're always, when you put that color in, you're sort of ministering to that area of the body. And then orange is your fun color, because orange is all about the sacral energy center, which supports sexuality, creativity, creative expression, relationships, emotions. So you probably feel comfortable in that space when you get to just sort of like play. And like if orange was like a dance, it'd be like woo. And then blue is kind of like, yep, we're moving. you like keep the train moving.
So the orange is the energy and the blue is the forward motion.
Yeah.
And this, and I've said this before, but it bears repeating. So the cover of your goal guide, which is yellow and orange, I did not see the cover until it showed up on Amazon. This is a book that came out in January 2020. Those are the colors of my childhood bedroom. They could not have known that those were the colors of me growing up. And I really feel like that does exemplify the fire and the practical energy. Mm-hmm. So, okay. Sheryne wants to know what pink and black say about her. Mm-hmm. And I will also add, so on the third Wednesday of the month, I do a GoalChat online mixer, and Heather comes regularly and by request at this month's, which will be on January 21st, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. For part of the meeting, she's going to do laser color analysis. So that'll be in the replay. I'll put in the links as well. So can you do pink and black real quick?
Yeah, Sheryne. So pink is one of the colors of the heart energy center. It supports higher love. So if green is all about the self, the pink is about the universal love, infinite and unconditional. So you're pulling that energy in. And then black is a color that's strongly protective. It keeps us sort of tucked away. It allows us to feel sort of I'm going to say protected again, but not really like visible. So there's maybe some aspect of your wardrobe that you're pulling in the energy of wanting to be loved unconditionally, but also sort of hiding a little bit at the same time, maybe not wanting to put yourself out there as much. Let me know if that makes sense.
Okay. And in the meantime, I feel like we should do really quick Sheryne and Shawn. So Sheryne, what are your colors?
I love beige and gold.
I love those.
Yeah. So, gold and beige.
I love it. So beige is a color that sort of connects to grounding and what's like neutrality. So it keeps us sort of in a grounded space. I always think of beige as the color of sand. So it helps us feel like we're part of something bigger, but also we sort of sit in a neutral space. And then gold is always about abundance and calling in abundance too.
Love it.
Great. Okay, Shawn, what are your colors? Orange.
Funny story. I used to wear nothing but gray. I call it my Mother Teresa phase. I used to wear baggy clothes and very dark colors all the time. And then I went through this whole transformation like 8-10 years ago where it became all colors. Mm-hmm. So my favorite color is this, which is actually a coral. This is actually a coral. Just my lighting may not show it properly, but it's actually a coral. And then the funny thing is I don't really have another favorite color, but it's more like flowery colors, like things like this. I have so many of things like this. Everything has flowers. So I don't know if that represents a color, but it's like a riot of different colors.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So coral is going to be a mix of the sacral and the heart. So it blends those two together. Your florals are all about growth and nourishing and being out in nature. And that helps support from a grounded perspective, but it also helps you feel like you're part of the cycle and that things are always in perfect order too.
That's nice.
Nice. And did you tell us what your colors are, Heather? You know, green is one and the other.
Yeah, greens and pinks. So I'm always working on my heart.
Nice. And you were spot on with your assessment of Sheryne. Christy, who just joined us, says green and gold. So she's like a mix and match between you and Sheryne, right?
Yeah. Yep. Heart energy and abundance. Yep.
Excellent. Well, and I do like to, when I would do in person, when I started my Goal Land, I would always give out gold stars, and this was the thing. If you achieve the goal you set, you could have a gold star. But if you achieved any goal, you could have whatever color stars, because it was one of those packets. And it was interesting because people would always get the same color. They would always be like, I want a blue star, or I want a green star. Like very seldom did people say, okay, I want a different one this month. They all just gravitated toward their go-to colors. Okay, I'll be a little off track here. This has just been beyond fascinating. I appreciate you all so much. And so at this point, I would love for you all to gift a goal. And Heather kind of shared hers. So we'll start with you, Heather. What goal are you gifting? And this is something you could do today, tomorrow, immediately, to be more one with your intuition.
Go right now to your laundry basket and look at what color you wore the most of last week, and look up what that color means and see if it aligns with how you felt. And then determine how you want to feel going into this coming week, and then look up what color is associated with that. So for example, if you wore black all last week, take a look at how you were feeling. Did you feel sort of low energy? Did you have any physical pain in your body, or were you generally just kind of in the doldrums? And then how do you want to feel this week? Do you want to feel happy or relaxed or calm? Then maybe you want to call in the energy of blues and greens to help support you this week.
Okay. And I love the fact that you said, look at your laundry basket rather than look at your closet, because when we look at our closet, we wear the same things over and over. I don't think the closet is nearly as good of an indicator as our laundry. So
true.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Sheryne, what goal do you wish to gift?
Yeah, I think as I was before, the deprogramming, I think really is creating space, turning the, especially with how much we're bombarded these days with news and social media and TV, and just give yourself of turning your phone, turn your phone off, go in the other room and sit down, whatever. And if 5 minutes is too much, 2 minutes, 1 minute, ask yourself the question of, what do I really want? What do I desire? And write it down. Even a word that comes to mind is like rest, and it mean to me. What does that mean to me? And just even just writing it down in the unconscious mind to recalibrate that this is what I need into that higher self and that guidance system of, okay, we need to move into this direction instead of being pulled in all of these other ways. Take 2 minutes, turning the noise off, and what do I desire? What do I need? And that's all you have to, even if you don't do anything with that word, just hearing it in your mind is enough for calibrated and reconnected. Conscious mind can take you where it needs to go. So yeah.
Awesome. That's great. And it's 1 minute. We can all do 1 minute, right?
Yeah.
Okay, terrific. Shawn, what goal are you gifting?
Let's see. My goal will probably take about 5 minutes, but for them, but it's worth it because it'll change your life, I promise. So if every morning when you wake up, starting with tomorrow, even if you only do it for a few days to experiment, the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is put your hand on your heart and say, I am not your name. So like, I am not Shawn. I am the caretaker of Shawn. And then immediately listen to your human to see what, and then I'll say, oh, Shawn is feeling anxious. Shawn is feeling agitated. Shawn is feeling sad. Shawn is feeling heavy. So I'll say in the third person, so you can try that, just listing your feelings. Shawn is feeling worried. Shawn is feeling scared. And then be the best friend that you would be to your, your bestie, and talk to your human. So just be like, hey, like for me, it'd be like, hey, Shawn, I'm so sorry you're feeling that way. It sucks to feel scared. It's hard to feel like that. And I know that you don't want to get up. I totally understand. And I'm so sorry you're having a hard time. And everything's going to be okay. I'm going to be here for you, and we're going to figure it out. And we're going to have a great day. And it doesn't seem like that would connect you with your intuition. But I am here to assure you that it's the fastest way to connect yourself with your intuition, because after you do that, your human is going to calm down. And guess there's a reason why all the spiritual teachers obsess about inner peace, inner peace, inner peace. When we can help our human feel more safe, more loved, and more enough, those are the magic three, your intuition will be right there telling you, and it will keep you safe in times of danger. And now's one of those times when you'd like to have that voice really loud, like telling you what to do, right? It will keep you safe and guide you and tell you what to do next with your life and how to do the best thing for that day.
Okay, it keeps you more safe, more something, and more enough. What's the middle one?
Safe, loved, and enough. So your job as the caretaker, your number one job on earth is to take care of your human, which was a gift to you from your whatever you want to call it, from someone, God, soul, whatever you call it, because for everyone it's different. But your human is a gift to you for this lifetime. And your job is to take care of that human, right? And to do that, we need to help our human feel safe, loved, and enough. And if that became your highest priority every single day, helping your human feel safe, loved, and enough with the same kindness you show to your best friend or your children, your life would transform immensely within weeks, like immensely. So try it out for a few days and see what happens. Yeah.
I love it. And it's very much in the spirit of, so I don't say offer goals, I say gift goals. So everything you're talking about, everything everybody is talking about is ways to gift yourself the things that you need to create the life you deserve and desire. So, so much fun. I mean, I feel like it's like this balance of intensity and a hug simultaneously, which I guess, isn't that what intuition is? It's direction and comfort, because when you know, it's the expand, contract, right? Anyway, where can people learn more about each of you? Heather?
You can find me online. My website is heathereck.com, or on Instagram, and I'm there at Heather Artist. And if you want to learn free color healing kit, you can download, and it'll give you all the different color meanings and different ways that you can learn about and use color in your life.
Awesome. And Shawn, where can people learn more about you?
ShawnPhelps.com. So it's the same as my name there, ShawnPhelps.com. And there I have a free I audit that you can download. And it's like the thing that I give my clients when I onboard them. So it will actually show you where your human is getting in the way of you living your highest path. And it's pretty fun to do. And I do have Instagram too, if you care to follow me. But that one is Shawn D. Phelps. I'm Shawn D. Phelps everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Excellent. And Sheryne?
Yeah, you can check out my astrology website, Fated Minds Astrology, or Fated Minds it's fatedminds.com. But if anybody is looking for direct coaching consultations, have any questions, they can actually email me. That's the best way, just because I'm in between another website that I'm just right now. So a direct email if you're wanting to have any conversations or learn about working with me.
Great. And I am at the Deb Method everywhere, and you can go to thedebmethod.com/blog to get the recap and rewatch, get the goals. And if you need a little bit of extra help with your goals, you can grab a copy of your goal guide and or 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting at your favorite place to buy books. And if you want to not just read books, but write one, you can learn more about me at thebookproposalexpert.com. I'm live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific. as I said before, you can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. And I love, this is a really perfect example of taking one topic, 3 people with slightly different, but more like yes and takes of something. And for me, that's such a joy. So again, live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific. And you can also subscribe to GoalChat, which is on the Marketing Podcast Network, and find me at the Deb Method everywhere. Ooh, like I said, I'm invigorized. I am invigorized. There we go.
It's a great word. It's a great word.
And I hope you all are as well. What final thought do you want to leave people with? Let us start with Sheryne. What final thought do you want to leave people with today?
Oh, I think just it's easier than you think it is. We really are divinely guided, and a lot of it comes down to removing the distractions and coming back to a place of, like Shawn said, peace. So removing the distractions, it's easier than you think it is.
Okay. And Shawn, final thought?
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'd like to add to that, because it's always just, and this is, I'm going to go a bit woo on you for a sec, but you are
Go
spirit.
for it.
You are spirit in a human body. And so you can't be lost, and you can't screw it up, and you can't, you know what I mean? You can't do it wrong. You're spirit having a human experience, and you came here for an adventure. And so it is something where that higher part of you, or God, or whatever you call it, is always talking to you, always there for you, and never leaves you. And so have that hope and that faith when you feel darkness, when you feel lost in very dark places of any kind, that is there for you. And all you got to do is give that kindness to yourself to create that peace, which Sheryne also spoke about, that kindness and empathy and to yourself to give you that inner peace. And there, the messages are going to be right there for you.
Nice. And really, I love it. You can't do it wrong. You are a spirit, and you're here for whatever adventure the world wants of you. Enjoy it, right? Live it and be it. Am I get it right? Am I close?
I don't know what you're I don't know what you're getting at. But I would say it's not the adventure the world wants for you. It's the adventure you want in the world.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
It's the adventure you want in the world.
Because it's our game, we're all playing our own game. We're all living in our own world. And that world is defined by our humans' thoughts, beliefs, and feelings, and identity. So
what it's reminding me of too is it's the whole, you are the main character of your own life. And I think people forget that a lot. And that is like a really good reminder that you get to be center stage. You get to live this life. So
you are anyway. That's the
you are thing. Anyway. So
you are the main character of your life. You are center stage, whether you think so or not. You know what I mean? You might as well enjoy it. It's going to end for all of us. Like you might as well enjoy the thing.
Okay, then. Nice little reality check, but that's okay. We're good.
I'm a medium, so I don't really think of that as a problem in the same way some people do. That's
a whole nother goal check.
Yeah. But I just mean we're spirit human bodies, so like we don't really have to worry. It's like you're always going to another adventure.
Okay, no, that I like. I appreciate that one. Okay, Heather, final thought to you.
I would say, and not to sound too much like Yoda, but the answers are already within you. You already have everything you need to know. You have access to infinite and unconditional information all the time. It's available to you. And if you don't pay attention to it, the God, the universe, spirit will try to get your attention in other ways through physical body, pain, dis-ease, or even just big signs from the universe. I think everything is a message. I think all kinds of encounters that we have throughout the day are messages. And so we can learn to pay attention to those and learn to read them and understand them and know how we're being communicated to. But I think the biggest one is just your own intuition guiding you. You already have the answers.
Got it. And if you have the intuition to join us today, I did. You are halfway there. Thank you again so much, Heather Eck, Shawn Phelps, Sheryne Willson. Thank you for tuning in to your intuition and also your goals. Again, I'm Debra Eckerling. I'm live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific. You can follow me at the Deb Method everywhere, including YouTube, and subscribe to GoalChat on the Marketing Podcast Network to get your weekly dose of inspiration and motivation to achieve your goals. They're out there. You're out there. Whatever it is you want in life, sit still, pay attention, take care of yourself. We know you can do it.